Welcome, everybody. This is the first episode. This is the most powerful episode. Welcome to Wealth Rules. That's right. I am back now podcasting again. And today we are going to introduce ourselves, introduce our show. I'm Vickie Helm, and this is my co-host, my partner in crime. This is Monique, Wright. And I just want to say welcome to Wealth Rules. And how are you doing today, Monique?
I'm awesome. I'm super excited to be here today. Love talking to you. Love having conversations about, sovereign wealth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to say, Rochelle, thanks for joining us. I know there are a lot of people that are coming on live. You can join the conversation. I'm watching the live piece over on the side as well. So why is it that we decided to do Wealth Rules? That's probably the first thing I want to talk about. Act like a great communicator. Karen, thank you for being on and joining us today. And I just want to say, one of the things that I have felt, the reason I went to this podcast right now is because I realized for myself that I'm feeling a little wobbly in the world as I look at the world and I think there's so many. I feel like I told Monique, I was like, what it feels like for me is during the wealth thing, we're walking through a minefield right now that a lot of people aren't seeing. And that disturbed me a little bit. I was like, my intuition says it's time to be careful. It's time to go ahead and say to yourself, what's happening? How am I going to prepare? And as I dug deep, I realized over the years, most people don't know what sovereign wealth is. They know what market wealth is. So there is something right now that I want to talk about with you, Monique. And I know that a lot of people don't know the difference between passive and active investing. So passive is where you earn the money. You work hard for the money. And the money comes in, and then we hand that money over to somebody else and we say, invest this for me and make me some money. And that's really kind of passively giving your power away to someone else to go ahead and invest and make money for you. And then there is the active way where you learn about wealth, which is what Wealth Rules is about you learning how to do that.
Yes.
And I think right now, most people know how to passively, because you know how that they have that golden rule where you go to school, you get good grades, and you get a degree, and you get a really great job. It's like this path. Well, the path is designed to have you get a good job and start investing in market wealth. And I don't think people understand how that takes the power away from them. You know what I mean? It's like
because we're not taught that way from early education, middle school, high school, college. No one is teaching sovereign wealth. Everyone is teaching passive income. Go work hard, get the promotion, get the job, do your best, invest in your 401k. That's it. That's the goal. And you've arrived if you've done all those things.
Yes. I want to say this because I think it's really important. What if the struggle people are feeling as to what to do financially is designed that way? Because the same way the path of education, nobody teaches entrepreneurship. They teach you how to become a worker bee. Then they don't teach you, they don't teach you active investing where you control your wealth building and you control that. They teach you the passive investing. They make it look convenient and easy. And all of a sudden, you don't understand how much money you're losing. But more than that, the thing that Wealth Rules is really designed to help you think about is you have to get to the point where you're seeing where you're losing control of your assets and money.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I think that's really important.
Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And then you're held accountable. You can only be, just in the dark and unaware for so long. But once you are made aware of what your financial situation is, what sovereign wealth really is, it just takes the veils off. Now the blinders are off. Those rose-colored glasses are gone. And now you see it for what it really is. And now you have to make a choice.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Right now, the choice is, it's like what everybody does. Hi, Nisha. Nice to see you on. What everybody does that's important for us to understand is we work so hard for money, and then somehow we do this giving it away, and then suddenly we don't have access to it. James, nice to see you on. Rochelle says, we do at the Genius Grid. I'm an educator who is, retiring to teach youth how to create their businesses based on their gifts. That is a cool thing. And what I want to just say for that is there are a lot of people that are coming on, and the move to decentralize your wealth is they've made it hard, because once you give your money to a system, getting access to it and moving it and having control of it, one of the hardest things you can do is all the penalties, all the fees, all the dues, all the taxes. They hit you so hard that sometimes people are stuck in a system without knowing how to build real wealth. So I want to talk about building wealth and what wealth rules is about. And I want to ask some questions, of you and the audience, and ask what they think. And I got to be honest, this is my first show, so I am definitely not without notes. We're doing really good. And so why did we start? Why did we start Wealth Rules? Well, gosh, too many people are doing everything right, and they're still feeling stuck, and they're not secure. And the old financial playbook is not working the same way it used to. And I know that a lot of people know that, but they don't know what to do. And I was looking at Monique's reason, which I'm going to have her share with you, why we were like, okay, we have to do this. And then I'm going to share with you my reason, which is vastly different. But how many of you out in the audience right now, how many of you are feeling like you're doing everything right? I still don't feel secure. I'm only making 10% on my money, but all of my fees and dues and penalties and everything that comes in is 8% of the total. So really, I'm kind of making 2% per year, even though they tell me it looks good. I mean, why did you decide to do this Wealth Rules podcast with me?
Well, of course, I've written about it. I've been raving about you, Vickie, because I was like the average person who feels like they're doing well, they're earning well. You have a lot of people who are in six-figure incomes, who went to college, who understood, okay, I've got to max out my 401k. I need to have a plan for retirement. I want to buy a little bit of gold. I want to get crypto. I want to invest in my 401k heavily. And then you get into the private markets. And I'm doing that. Then I'm being persuaded by the media, and I'm performing well. I mean, you get the house, you get the car, you get the clothes, you get the perfume. Like, you can't stop buying. You can't stop shopping. And then you can't stop posting. But I was sitting with an investment idea. And then just in the pit of my stomach, I knew there was something off. Couldn't put my finger on it. And so as I was searching, and I'm researching, as I was searching, I found you. And we were on that call, and it was life-changing for me. You just asked me very subtle questions. It wasn't a fully dramatic conversation. It wasn't, hey, you're doing this wrong. You got to get it right. It was just, hey, so what do you think about your real estate? It's market driven, huh? Where if the market had a downturn, where would you be at? Where would your family be at? And it made me take another look at my financial situation. And then once that light bulb went off, I said, I've got to share it with the world. I cannot not help somebody else that's in my same situation, especially with the way the economy is right now. And I've got to work with you. We've got to get this message out.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got to help more people to understand it's not about your income. It's not about your 401k. It's actually about, I thought I was retirement optional. I thought I was good to go. Like, I work if I want to. I just have these dividends pay me and I can just invest here and invest there. It's not the case. It's not sovereign wealth. And it will hurt you and your family if you don't make the switch.
Thank you. That's a very interesting perspective, and I want to share mine as well.
Mhm.
I came at it from a completely different way, and I'm asking you guys not to judge me, but we're coming out with our 48th book. It's called Wealth Rules, and we've written it together, and it's going to be fun and powerful. But here's the thing. Here's the really most important thing right now. I learned both ways. My parents made their money illegally. They made it totally illegally. And I'm going to be honest, my dad grew weed when it was illegal. He also made cocaine, and he did it out of country. We got paid cash, everything was cash. But here's the thing, when we made our money illegally, when I say we, I don't mean me, my parents. When they made their money illegally, they couldn't enjoy it. They couldn't get the house. They couldn't get the boats. They couldn't get the cars, the things they wanted. We had just money sitting around. And when I grew up, I just thought everybody who was rich got there doing it illegally. And so what happened was, when I was 19 years old now, I'm about 19 or 20.
Mhm.
I watched my dad. Now, you can't do the things my dad did back then now. I watched my dad launder money. And this is how I learned sovereign wealth. I didn't know about, anything about anything, but I learned all the things he did. So one of the things he did in order to do something was he had to move his money, and he would money belts and tape it to his body, get on an airplane, go into Liechtenstein, over to Switzerland, put the money in the Swiss bank there. Then he would come back to the United States. And then he would invest the money, but he was always, and I mean always, the silent partner. So he owned the restaurant as a silent partner, and he would just get a kickback. Then he owned part of the credit union, and then he would just buy into businesses after businesses. He even bought into a dressage horse that was Olympic quality or whatever it was, but he was always the unknown silent partner. He invested the money in ways that were beyond the system. So I
Mhm.
learned it, but then I was embarrassed by it, and I swung the other way. I went to college. I got a degree in accounting and finance. I got picked up by the accounting firms, and I've worked with managed funds. I've worked for several people, but here's what I found out when I got to Citigroup. I was a financial analyst there for about a decade, and I worked the business at night that I owned, and then the financial analyst piece. And I kept going over contract after contract after contract after contract. And what I noticed was this right over here was bleeding people of their money legally. It was stealing money, and I'll tell you how. I'm going to tell you exactly how I learned they were stealing it. And I went through thousands of contracts, insurance contracts, mortgage contracts, any kind of type of contract. And what I noticed while I was helping people is how screwed over they were. They were legally stealing money. So I'm going to give you an example. There was a woman, I just remember this so strongly. It's been years, but she built a business,
Mhm.
her and a partner, and it was 24 million when they sold it. And they parted each with it was 25 mil when they sold it. And they walked away with 12 million each.
Mhm.
So what she wanted to do, what she thought was going to be really good for her, she went in and got an annuity. And that, I'm not going to say the annuity is with, a top 5, annuity company. I'm not going to name names. But what they did was she asked them, I want about 20,000 a month, which back then was I want 50,000 a month now. But she said 20,000 a month. Now, she took some of the money and she bought land, and
Mm-hmm.
she her dream home on that land. And then she bought this annuity was going to pay her. And then she said, I want the rest to go to my children after I pass away, because now that's legacy. You know what I mean?
Yes,
And
yes.
what happened was they said yes and they nodded it. But
Mm-hmm.
when you put the contract apart, because the contract's always here, and they're more worried about where you're going to sign here, then sign here, then sign here, and then sign here, but you're not actually reading it. And what happened was when she died, this company got all of the nest egg. Nothing went to the children. So the children's inheritance was a 12-acre property with a house on it. And when she came to me, she was like, is there anything I can do? And I'm like, you sign the contract.
Right.
And we do that with, when we close houses, we do that
Mm-hmm.
with insurance policies. And we want to believe the person guiding us. And the person guiding us might be absolutely an honest Joe, but he doesn't know. He's just a licensed representative of a company. And the company is the one that's doing all the penalties and the fees and the withdrawals. And there's so many contracts like that that I realize when you give the power away of your money, when you give somebody else control of that, you lose. It's like they vacuum the wealth out of
Yes,
your.
yes. Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't, it's like, when you say retirement optional, that's such a cool thing because you can build that out. But I don't know about you, but I'm wondering, do you have any stories where you know of someone who invested and lost everything or was on the losing thing because a contract they signed posed them?
Without disclosing too much information, just being a real estate agent and seeing people with different rights. You can have water rights. You can have someone who might have thought that they had their mineral and oil rights that didn't. We
Mm-hmm.
have, Google fiber that comes through your town, digs up your yard so they can put the cables through. And you're like, why? Hey, don't do that. Now you're calling the city. No, they can do that because you don't own your own mineral rights. So
It's
they
true.
get.
There's so many rights we give away.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem with the contracts. So what I did after I saw all of this, I couldn't take it anymore. I have stories, just story after story after story after story. One of the things, insurance is really good at
Oh yeah.
is vacuuming money out. And if we look right now, the Strait of Hormuz
Mm-hmm.
is closed, not necessarily because of violence, but because of Lloyd's of London. They're the insurers for that strait, and they've said we're not going to pay you insurance. We're not going to back that cargo ship from going through at this time because it could be blown out of the water. So the ships aren't moving, not because the threat of violence, but the threat of there's no insurance. There's no insurance for the goods they have on that boat right now. So what happened was I quit and I went back and had a discussion with my dad. And I was
Okay.
like,
Mm-hmm.
I saw this and I saw that. And I got to tell you, it breaks my heart how much I saw how many people get screwed over. And I was so jaded. And my dad was like, that's why I do what I do. And he said, the very first thing that people don't understand is they don't know what an asset is. They just don't know what it is.
They don't.
They they think that having that stock, I have stock in this company or I'm getting dividends from this company, means that you have ownership. And what people don't understand is the ownership, and the system is designed. And I want you to just think about it. This is our first wealth rules. The system is designed to make you think that you have ownership because you have an account. Like, here it is, that ownership and the account. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So it's like, how many accounts do you have? And if you start realizing that you have a lot of accounts, but you have zero ownership, you are giving away your potential ownership. So let me ask you something. When you go to the bank and you want a loan, what is it that they are asking you for? Are they asking you for your credit score? Do they want to give you a loan based on your credit score or based on the assets you have to attach to? Which is it? And I know some of you may be thinking, well, both. It's not both.
Mm-mm.
So I'm thinking, how are you feeling about, do you think that this wealth, this wealth empowerment, do you think that this has been designed for years, or do you just think it's certainly right now?
Designed for years.
Why do you think that?
One, it's an economic play. It's been in place. Every country has sovereign wealth. It didn't just start. And if you look at, years ago, we didn't have the Federal Reserve. We weren't worried about the dollar. Everyone owned their own. Now no one owns anything.
And I think that's by design. And I think that's an excellent point. Nobody owns anything. Just because you have an account doesn't mean you have ownership. And you know how many people are always like, yeah, we have assets. What do you have?
Right.
Well, I'm with Fidelity, or we have Vanguard.
Mm-hmm.
Those are accounts. They're not ownership, they're accounts. And we get so proud. We're like, I got the Roth IRA and I got a 401k and I got some mutual funds with Vanguard. And you know what I mean? Like,
I've been there, done that. Mm-hmm.
you think you're wealthy. What you have in is account, and somebody else has the power over your money. And that's something that we don't look at very often. We don't look at how it is that people are taking our money from us and having power and control. So it's interesting. When you put your money in the bank, because everybody has a bank account,
Mm-hmm.
it's the bank that can shut the bank down and say, no, you can't have access to your money today. They can close the ATM. We saw this in 2008 when
Yes.
things were bust and crash and boom. And then people were like, hey, the banks came in, the government came in. I think it was Iceland and Greece and some of the other places where they froze everybody's account and said, well, we need to keep ourselves alive. So we're going to take a third of your money. And thank you. And the reason that happened is because you have no power over it. You give it access. Go, say.
That's one of the reasons why I found you. I don't know if you remember me telling you or not, but I was looking at a syndicated deal. And I was like, there is something off. They were telling me, okay, you can get the money, but I wanted to know what was the exit strategy. How was I going to get my money out? Could I get my money at any time? Can I liquidate it? How long do I have to wait? And why are we owning a piece of paper and not, you can't tell me exactly what I own.
Yeah. Yeah.
The return on investment sounds good, but that's not ownership. I'm not investing in something that I don't know how I'm going to get my money out.
Yes.
And the banks were saying, hey, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. We can help you. I don't feel comfortable with that. That's the lie that they will sell you.
That's true. That is what they're selling you. You guys, thanks for all the hearts and loves going by. This is our first Wealth Rules media company thing going on. So there's a couple of things I want to talk about because I think you brought up a really good point. There was a point, and I've seen this. Sorry, I'm like, this side is more corrupt than this side is. Sorry, that's just how it is. There's ethical ways of making money. To be wealthy, you need to steward your money, and you have to build systems. And we're going to be talking about that in there. So stewarding your money is different than investing your money. Because you invest your money, it doesn't mean you have stewardship or access or control. if you give away the power to own your money. So I'm like, all these people, they are doing a huge, huge deal right now, putting and trying to make women financial advisors, financial planners, and every women, they're doing that. Why? Because, everybody knows about this big wealth transfer, but what they don't know is that more than it's like globally, it's $124 trillion is going to fall into the hands of women.
Yes.
And they know that.
Mhm.
Everybody knows it. So
Right.
that every ad, look at how Gail, thank you. She says she loves this. Thank you. I appreciate you being here too. They know and are targeting women right now with financial planning, et cetera, because they know that in America, the bulk of it, I think it's like, don't quote me, it's somewhere between 43 and $46 trillion is just coming to women in America.
Right.
So every single of the big, give us your money, give us your money, give us your money. Are you crazy? That give you your money. It sounds cool. It looks sexy, but it's not stewardship. And the future, you have to learn stewardship. Why? Because I know that most people watching this all feel the rice paper of our economy. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, it's going to fall. It's going to fall. What you own is what you own. So I want to give you an example of what they do in the contracts. People think I'll buy gold. I'll buy gold because that is a good place to place your money.
That's a good
So
one.
it is. And then they go with the gold ETFs. Hey, Felicia, nice to see you on. Glad you're here with us. There's so many people on, Rochelle and Karen and Nisha and, Gail and Felicia. You guys, the names are going and I'm trying to get to you all, but I'm going to keep going. So you decide right now that you're going to buy gold. And you think, oh, I'll buy gold ETFs. So you buy the gold ETF and you're like, yes, I own gold. No, you don't. You own a piece of paper that says. So here's the contract piece of it. And I've seen this. I have seen somebody invest $10,000 in a gold ETF. And in the contract, it says, if you want access to the gold that you have to invest $100,000 before you have access to that $10,000 ETF. That's in the contract. It's just there as part of whatever is there. And so what happens is people get to the point where they are being hosed over. They are investing $10,000 in an ETF. They think they have access to their gold, and whoops, they don't. And so sometimes the government has to come in and go, what is this? So I don't like ETFs. ETFs are paper ownership.
Yes.
You buy gold, you want to have ownership, have the gold in your house. I'm not a big fan of tertiary wealth. Tertiary wealth is anything that is paper, because paper and contracts, listen, no matter what, and I want to ask you, no matter what, isn't it interesting how you think you're making good decisions because you're buying something that's supposed to help you have wealth? But let me ask you, do they have your best interest at heart, or do they have their best interest at heart? And why? Why do you think that?
I think that they are trying to have your best interest at heart. I feel like they have a fiduciary responsibility that they're actually trying to uphold, but sometimes they don't even know better. The banks know. You have levels, but your CPA, your private wealth manager, your tax strategist, they honestly may not know. Because even when I'm on the phone and I'm asking the hard conversations, I remember we had a conversation about silver, and I was like, well, let me make sure that my silver is good. I don't want that silver that's not around anymore. What's going on with silver? He was like, I don't know anything about it. Okay, let me get somebody else on the phone. Let me find out what's happening. So they actually probably, hopefully, want to help you. They want to have your best interest because they want to continue to keep your business. What they may or may not know is sovereign wealth for themselves.
That's
They may
right.
actually invest in ETFs. They may actually do the plan that they're doing for you. And that's all they know. The people up here, yeah, they know. They know. They're making the money off of it. They have the real assets. Billionaires don't have ETFs. So I feel like
Yeah.
the person here, the middleman that's trying to help you, that's making money off you, that you're paying to manage your portfolio, may or may not know. Hopefully they don't.
It's interesting because most people don't understand fees. So fees go up every single year, but the service doesn't change. The service is still the same, and then the fees go up, and the fees are always in the contract behind that. And Gail, I see you when Vickie mentioned stewardship. That shifted something. That's great. I'm glad to hear that because that's the thing that's missing. My dad taught me stewardship over wealth. Now, he made his illegally. I told you guys what he did, but I do mine legally when the money comes in. There is a structure that we've forgotten that our forefathers set in motion before markets that said, this is how you have stewardship over your wealth. And they had it packed. And you know what? When we have my 48th book is coming out, and I'm really excited about this one because it is the Take Your Power Back book.
Yes.
And it is wealth rules. We want to help you take your power back because the system is designed to benefit them most with your money. 100% of your hard work, 100% of your earnings. Listen, an advisor doesn't make money unless he's got your money to use.
Right.
So I want to tell you, one of the things that I remember, Ted Nugent, he was a rock star in the 70s, and he's now called Uncle Ted. And so everybody calls him Uncle Ted. He's, gotten to the rock and roll fame that, he's just, everybody knows his music. So the thing is, what happened to him was he had a bunch of advisors who literally ran his money, ran everything. And one day after a big stadium, like he was so big in the 70s, those big, huge stadiums that are all the football stadiums, and he would fill that entire stadium in one day. So imagine if a ticket cost $25, $30 back then, and there are, 60,000 people, 20,000 people in the audience. You can see how much money this guy is making in like an hour. I mean, insane amount of money. And so what happened was he had all these advisors and everything else. One day he's going off stage after making a buku bucks, and they're telling him that he is absolutely broke. And he's like, no, I've made millions. I have advisors. So do you remember the movie Hitch? Have you ever seen the movie Hitch?
Yes.
I love that movie. With Will Smith and Eva Mendes. And I love that movie. But there's a scene in this movie where Will Smith is coaching this fuddy-duddy guy how to get this rock star woman. And so what happens was she is her name is Allegra Cole, and she's there. And so in this room, every time she wants money, she has this board of directors that is, nobody. And what happens is she has to ask them to lend her some money so that she can invest.
Her wealth.
That's right. All of her wealth. She wants to invest in her buddy's business. And, the big thing is he has to make shock and awe. And so what happens there is he goes in and he's like, at the end, he goes, they try to get her. Well, I'll tell you what, next week we'll present you with some things that we think are good investments. They're trying to control her money. So he stands up and he's like, you know what I think? If you want to be taken seriously as an adult, then you need to, command your own money. You don't need advice from your daddy's golf buddies. And then he storms out of the room. And that hit me so hard. It's like when you have to ask permission
Mm.
For your own money, you are living in what we call permission-based wealth. That is what passive investing is. It's permission-based wealth. And so I want to talk to you about what it is Monique and I are going to share with you over the years. Like, we've talked a lot about the corruption that exists in the system right now, and that most people don't know how to steward wealth. But Monique and I want to tell you three things I'm looking forward to sharing with you, and I want her to have the same thing.
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to empowering you to know what real wealth is, what real assets are, and how to identify them so that you could steward your own money. Those are the three things. We're going to be going over that during this show. And what are you looking forward to sharing with them?
I'm looking forward to sharing practical ways to apply our strategies. You know, in the book, and when they get it, hidden rules, they'll be able to see certain steps that they can actually, practical steps that they can take, not huge jumps. This isn't, just jump in day one, but step by step, every day, working toward sovereign wealth with the hidden rules that we're going to be able to discuss. And then
Yeah.
also, whenever they have that mindset shift, I would love for them to be able to communicate that and have these conversations with their financial advisors, with their CPA, with whoever they need to talk to,
Yeah.
and wake everybody in their community up concerning what real wealth is. And it's not just the income. It's not just, the big face shades and the nails and it's not the cars and the houses and what we've been sold. It's not that at all. And so once they get that mindset shift, which is, not the reason why I'm here, but one of the major reasons why I'm here, because I had to let that go. I saw myself, I saw what it was doing, and then be able to take your wealth and really sow it into something worthwhile. Because it's one thing to have wealth, like you want to be visible in wealth, share that wealth with somebody, give it away, build something worth having.
Yeah. And I think right now, I want to uncover especially for women, because they don't know that there's this enormous, now women are probably like, out there thinking, well, how's that money coming to us? Or I ain't getting none of that money. Well, there is plenty of money. Gail said, yes, Monique. And I think that's important. Thank you for that. But the amount of money that is coming is going to change history. It's going to change. Everyone knows that the control of women is over. It is now this entire rising of wealth. And here's the thing: how you use your wealth, how you understand your wealth, how you grow your wealth is now a type of empowerment. It's not a passive, oh, I believe you. Let me just give this. Let me just tell you, I want to tell you one secret to give you an idea of what you need to look for. They tell women that the most important thing that you need to do to grow wealth is to have a good credit score. You've got to put everything in. If you have that credit score, you're going to have access. You have access to debt, not to wealth.
Right.
But here's the most important thing. It is a bunch of BS that your credit score is anything. And I'm going to prove it to you right now. I'm just think about this. I'm going to prove it to you right now. In 2006 and 7 and 5, before the 2008 crash, they were giving away loans. They had ninja loans, no income, you needed nothing to get a mortgage for your house. They wrote if you didn't have a job. They didn't care if your credit score was 400 or 4,000. They don't give a crap.
No.
What happened was they were making money. And so what happened was they kept doing this over and over and over. Hey, Johnny, nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. They gave money over and over and over to a bunch of people who didn't even have a job, couldn't speak English. They don't give a crap about about your credit score. Now, remember, I want to show you another thing. At one point, President Trump, when he was just real estate mogul Trump, was $900 million in debt. And they gave him money. Did they care about his credit score? No, they didn't give a crap about that. So you're being misled, misguided. And if you understand wealth, and maybe I should, tell everybody, just Google our names. You can find me anywhere. But understanding wealth, that is stewarded wealth, versus this is active wealth. You have to take control of it.
Yes.
You have to stop being passively wealthy. And this is what we're going to teach you how to do on this show. We're going to have conversations. I think we're probably going to go live more often. You may see some recorded shows when we want to go on vacation and have some fun, or, somebody's got trips to Africa or, wherever we're going. But what I want to be able to say to you is that from the bottom of our hearts, I am going to sit here with my partner, and we are going to pull the curtain back and let you see what they don't want you to see, know something that they don't want you to know. And we are not, hi, this is the budget show, and now you can bag your lunch and take that. And this is not that. This is vastly different. And I want to say that I would rather not be doing this show with anybody else but Monique, because her business language and what she's accomplished is so over the top. And, you can read our profiles, our books, but I'm going to ask you to do me a favor today. And if you've enjoyed this show, please tell another person about it. And the other thing is subscribe. So right now, I think we're going to go 3 times a week live as we talk about these things. And we're going to let you know when the book is out as well. What I want you to be able to do is tell a friend to join us, because I want to be able to help as many people as I can. And I know that Monique does well. And I just, we're at the end of the show, and I'm wondering what you want to say to our audience. We've been on almost 45 minutes. And, what would you like to say?
Well, just coming from, I jokingly say I'm a recovering wealth performer, jokingly, but there's some truth to that. And just very quickly, when we're talking about the shift of wealth, I mean, makeup is $1 billion industry, right? Women are already spending. Women have already had wealth. We're just letting it go out the door. We are being shaped by the media instead of being shaped by people who can actually influence you in a positive way. There are influencers, and then there are influencers. And you want to be influenced by the people who are going to help you to grow and build your wealth. And that's who we are.
Yeah, that's who we are. So I want to thank you all. And Gail said, yes, Monique. And she with exclamation. So thank you for that. I appreciate you being here. This is a first show. It's always, when you're building something great, or you're building something that you want to make a difference with, it always takes time. So I promise you we're going to be here, and I hope you're here for the next show. Thank you for joining us today. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. All right. We'll see you on the next live. Talk to you soon. Bye.